Hey everyone. So I am super excited about tonight's lesson because what I'm doing is I'm revisiting an older technique that I taught on this channel several months ago where we take grayscale marker and then we lay down a shape, just like a random shape. And then what we do is we let it dry and then we take a ballpoint pen and draw on top of it to form some kind of creature. So I'm going to be taking a step further tonight. I'm going to show you my process, and hopefully you guys watching at home have something similar, so that you are similar as in the tools, so that you can not copy or mimic what I'm doing, but do something in the same ballpark. All right, so first things first, I have this shape right here, and then I just made this shape. Now, the difference between the last time and this time is last time it was completely random. I was taking marker and I was just flinging it around just to see what would happen. This time around, I'm being a little bit more methodical in the shapes that I make. So I know what's going to be a leg. I know what's going to be maybe a tail, maybe some horns, maybe a neck or a face or some arms or something. So this is just a little bit more advanced, but still, those of you that maybe are suffering from a creative block, like a creative rut, just know that this is probably one of the most therapeutic things that you're ever going to get to do as an artist. We are throwing away all the notions of trying to be perfect. Oh my gosh, look at that. Okay, so on the back of this is a thinner moleskin pad than I am typically sketching with. I have an ink drawing on the back, and it looks like the ink bled through it. I put some printer paper down in between my pages just so it won't bleed through the next one because these pages are so thin. But it looks like it gave me this weird effect. I'm actually going to go with this. Let's see what happens. It could be an alien plant for all we know. But anyway, I am using Prismacolor Cool Gray 30%. I don't suggest using any percentage past 30, otherwise you're going to be getting a little too dark. But what I do want you to do is I want you to do these shapes first before committing any kind of pen markings to it. Now I say pen because the ballpoint pen sits very nicely on top of dried marker. It's way better than pencil. However, it depends on the percentage of the marker. 30%, you could probably use black Prismacolor on it. This is as raw as we get, folks. This is art, this is paper. We use pencil on this channel, we use markers, and we're just here to have fun. Those of you right now watching my video and who know that you have a sketchbook that you could get up from your chair right now to go get. It's probably in your desk drawer, it's probably in your school bag or briefcase or tucked away on the third shelf above your shoe rack in the closet, somewhere in there collecting dust, and you know you want to draw. You know you do. There's absolutely no excuse not to draw right now because we're going to doodle. Pause this video and go get it and then come back. Okay, now, ooh man, this almost looks like I'm getting a demonic tree / crab vibes here. I think this looks like a branch. Speaking of that, why don't we just put some weird tentacled branchings going on here? I don't know. See, this is me thinking Lovecraftian, so who knows. But remember what I said in the beginning, we're not just doing random blow-ups, random bulbous shapes and all that stuff. We're actually putting some thought into these creatures. But I'm not thinking about the features on the inside yet. So like, does this creature have a beak? Does it have gills? Or is half of it fur? No, we're not thinking that right now. All I care about is, can this thing move if I put some limbs on it? Does it fly? Is it bipedal? Can I have like a little dinosaur right here? That's pretty cool. Maybe like a shortened tail, but maybe there's like a club at the end of it. Kind of like an ankylosaurus almost. Ankylosaurus? Ankylosaurus? Comment below. How do you pronounce that? I was obsessed with dinosaurs when I was little, so if you know if it's Ankylosaurus, Ankylosaurus. We got some interesting shapes going on here. The other great thing about just markers, but specifically black Prismacolor, it bleeds into the markings that you had previously put down so well. Man, it's just a lot of fun. I'm gonna have this tail whip around here and put another club on the end of it. Oh, we're getting into some weird genetics right here. I don't even know what kind of tail that is. Kind of looks like an anaconda swallowed a giant animal. Why don't we put some spikes here? Almost like it kind of evolved from a Stegosaurus. And ooh, speaking of Stegosaurus, let me put some platings right there. That'd be kind of neat. It's like a mix between, I would say, a Baryonyx, Parasaurolophus with a head crest, some kind of Hadrosaur, Ankylosaurus, Stegosaurus, and who knows what, maybe an Edmontosaurus. Okay, but there we go. All right, let's keep going. I won't be able to do too many rows just because, you know, I'll have to keep shifting the sketchbook up and down, and if I move farther down like this, it's going to get a little blurry, so I want to make sure that everything is in there for you guys. Okay, this is a really weird critter already, to the point where it's so alien that it's bipedal. Huh. That's kind of cool. I'll just keep it like that. Maybe the little arms are off here and then has more arms up here. That's a little crazy. It almost looks Silent Hill-ish. Hey, I'm all for Silent Hill. Okay. Why don't we stop there, because now we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8. It's totally fine. Now I'm going to show you the next step. Standard Bic ballpoint pen. It's not the ultra round stick grip, it's just the regular round stick. So whichever one you want to use is fine. We're going to go back up here. Now, since we already established the silhouette, what I'm doing, testing that out here. This was my previous video's work, so I'm just kind of moving over to the next page. I would have put it down here, but I want to keep that ink. So we'll revisit that at some point in the near future for some more lessons. But back to the marker / pen combination. Okay, so we have this really cool bug thing going on up here. The next thing is, after the ink dries, without hesitation, start putting down very light lines within the gray. Stay inside the silhouette. Do not go past it. Okay, there is a reason for that, because I want you to hold the integrity of the silhouette. Once you go outside, you're going to compromise it, and then you're going to have to add in more gray to fill up that space, and I don't want you to do that. Okay, so in this case, I know that the bottom is going to be darker, so now I'm just going to add some darker ink. And remember, these are aliens, okay? We don't know what other beasts and little critters look like on other planets and other dimensions and alternate realities. So if you want to draw something with a giant growth on the back that looks like a plant, so be it. There we go. So you can see that all the little markings that I'm adding now are actually adding some pretty cool textures inside there. I'm not really sure what the face is. I assume that this is going to be the head and this is going to be the tail. Why don't we just make that assumption right now? I feel really comfortable with that. How about you guys? And now I'm just going to put in a very, man, this paper's so thin. I gotta hold it down. I'm going to put in a very light indication of a cast shadow on the ground. It needs a ground in general. So now what we can do is we can just kind of finish that leg right there. I'm not really worried about foot details. I just want to get the bulk of the creature out. So this is pretty neat. So it looks six-legged almost. Like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 on the other side. See, this is where your creativity and your interest in drawing and everything is going to culminate. Okay, those of you that have been struggling lately with drawing, haven't been able to come up with ideas, you've been having a lot of stuff happen to you lately, and you just haven't found the motivation to draw, I want you to go write down the reasons why you love drawing. Don't think about the things that are bad, okay, about things that are happening right now. It could be that you're just lazy and that you just don't want to draw, but you do want to draw, especially when you see somebody else doing it. So you have that artistic fire. You just need to actually get up and do it. And part of the way to do it is to eliminate the fear of needing to be good immediately. I think that's another big roadblock that a lot of artists have, this need to be great instantly. Look, whenever we start something, whether it's learning an instrument, learning to play a game for the first time, we want to be very good at it right away because we know that the amount of work it's going to take in order to actually get good is something that we are not mentally prepared to handle. All right, so let's just put in a little ground plane right here, just very lightly. I always like putting in ground planes because it lets me know that the critters that I am drawing are walking on a solid surface, even though I am drawing on paper. Okay, so I have to have my little critters live and breathe within an environment so that I can emotionally evaluate my creation. Whenever I put a ground plane in, sometimes I'll put like a little person there for scale. If you're a creature designer, that's a really good habit to get into. Just put in a little person so that it'll not only give you a peace of mind, be like, oh yeah, that's how big it is. It's as big as a 2 or 3 story building. I always have to think about what a 3D artist would want me to have in order to officially evaluate my creations. Seeing the scale, even for environment concept artists out there, you know exactly who you are and what I'm talking about. It's really good to have the scale representation for a real human in there. All right, let's do a little experiment here. I'm just going to get really dark right in there. It's almost like a very harsh cast shadow on the ground. This is just for fun too. Remember, I'm just doodling. The gray is giving me the shape of these creatures for me. I already see something like almost a big cicada face. This is crazy looking. I don't know how I saw that or why I saw that. I just did. And oh man, it kind of looks like praying mantis too, like a cicada praying mantis. So notice how the lines that I'm putting on top of the gray are very faint, but I'm also layering them on top of each other. I'm just texturing them. There we go. Okay. Kind of looks like one of the old ancient reptiles before the dinosaurs even walked the earth. So I'm honoring that silhouette. I'm not adding spikes. I'm not adding a tail where there isn't one because I didn't draw a tail for it. I'm staying with that shape. I'm going to see if maybe, just maybe, we can put in some eyelids, almost like a chameleon. Yeah, I guess that kind of works. And remember what I did for the first couple times? I was overlapping some very light lines, and that forms its own texture. Comment below if you're sketching along and tell me what you drew. Man, I'm seeing some amazing comments from you guys, seriously. Folks that haven't drawn in 8 months, folks that haven't drawn in over a year, suddenly you're doing it. That's what I'm talking about. Do it. Like, if you have a love for drawing, ignore people telling you that you're never going to make money at it or art isn't a career, etc. It's a bunch of crap. It is a career. You can have a very fulfilling career doing art. It's like a little, incredibly big-headed lizard insect. I don't even know what you would call that. Man, I have not asked you guys to name these critters in a while. A while as in a week. That's a while for me. Okay, so let's just start numbering these. I'll put 1, 2, 3. Okay, and when we get all of them done, you guys can number them. Let's do Mr. Plant right here. I don't know why I just called it Mr. Plant. I'm thinking of these as like large leaves. Okay, so if you have, it just looks like an angry goose at this point. I don't know. Hold on, let me move this down a little bit. I didn't realize it. This was off. It might be blurry for you guys, I'm not sure, but this looks like a goose head. You know what? It's kind of like a goose with a turtle shell on the belly, followed by really gross fat tentacles on the bottom. It's like Ursula. Okay, there we go. There we go, folks. What would you even call that? I have no idea. This was the abomination because it bled through. You know, the ink from the other thumbnail just bled through. And this is what we ended up with. But hey, let's roll with it. I'm just going to apply some darker lines, lighter lines, mid-value lines. That's how I want you guys to put these lines in. Don't think too hard. All right, that's number 4. There we go. Let's move down to this one. This one's crazy. I'm going to have to move my sketchbook over a little bit. Since the shape has already been established for us, I can concentrate on that body. There we go. So the pen is just lightly following these gray shapes. And I'm not thinking too hard about making them stay inside perfectly. Let me know if this is sparking your imagination. What kind of crazy concoctions you guys have come up with. Join our Discord. Check the link in the description below for our Creature Design Workshop Discord. That is the exact place where everyone starts posting their stuff that they start drawing from watching these videos. And then it just kind of blossoms from there. Interests in drawing that people didn't know they had. If you've strolled in here because the YouTube algorithm decided to show you this, welcome. I want to welcome you to my channel. Everybody's welcome. As long as you keep it civil in the comments. I do get some nasty comments from time to time. Yeah. It's a combination of bratty trolls and jealous people because they know, I like to spit as much truth as I can when it comes to drawing. Some of the information that I give you guys is really tough to hear, especially if you're emotionally attached to a lot of your art, which, hey, I've been emotionally attached to my art. So when somebody told me that my perspective is off or I wasn't studying correctly or doing the right things, I didn't like to hear that. But that kind of information is what you need to hear if you want to grow. And sometimes tough love is the best love. Oh, that's number 5. I lost count there for a sec. Okay, let's move to number 6 to this very scary... Man, why am I getting Poltergeist vibes? Those of you that grew up in the 80s know exactly what tree I'm talking about in Poltergeist. A lot of you youngins watching me right now draw, I'm referencing some 80s horror movies, and Poltergeist is one of them. There's a very, very scary tree in that movie. So those of you that grew up in the 80s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The one that busted through their window during the storm. This reminded me of it. It's like a really creepy tree. Great movie. I don't really remember much of part 2. I did like the first one. Tobe Hooper is a genius. It's funny, for years I thought Steven Spielberg directed it, and he just helped. He helped make it, he helped produce it. But Tobe Hooper directed Poltergeist, and he's the one that lovingly gave us the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And also Invaders from Mars. I've talked about Invaders from Mars before. See, this is what happens when I start drawing critters and stuff. I'm letting nostalgia take over, and I'm starting to think about all the movies that I grew up with. Hopefully that resonates for a lot of you listening right now that grew up in the same era that I did. There will never be anything like it. No scary movie will ever top what we had to deal with that decade. Just really great stuff. Okay, that's number 6. Let's go on to Mr. Dinosaur. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this, folks? Let's see what happens. Okay. Wow. Okay, so there's going to be a mouth right there. Jaw. Okay, let's put the eye in. Okay, I think this will work. I'm just kind of letting my pen do the talking for me. There we go. And hopefully you're learning something from this too. I try really hard to help artists with their struggles, which is why I run the mentorship that I do. You know, we tackle all of the inner problems that may be keeping you from being creative. When you tell yourself you're not creative, then you're not going to be creative. Some people just go throughout their lives and they witness people drawing, and then they tell themselves, I'd never be able to draw that, so I'm not an artist, or I suck at this, I suck at that. It's not just drawing, it's anything. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, that was quick, but hey, it worked. Now let's go on to our little finalized critter. Oh, we got to number it. Okay, our little critter up here or down here to finish off our nightly session. Hopefully you guys are learning something from doodling. If you've picked up your sketchbook for the first time in months, if you've come home from a hard day's work, if you have a renewed passion for drawing, that's amazing. Okay, so we can't forget our little ground plane on number 7. There we go. Just lightly put one in, just to indicate it. We don't need to go into a lot of details on that. And jump back here to our crazy little critter. Looks like we got 2 legs coming out, and then, well, it looks like the face is here, which is kind of neat, and we got the front limbs coming off. So technically it's 4-legged, the 4 legs coming in back. It almost looks like a bar stool. And then in the back here we have 2 little tentacles. The real question is, what would you name this thing? I know we play around a lot on this channel, like naming it human names like Tim, Stephanie, Bill, Charlie, or whatever. But if you can think of some really wild alien name, I'm all for it too. It's a lot of fun. Okay, putting some finishing touches here. See, that's how quick we can move too. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this. Okay, the other thing is, I do get asked the question, how do you know where to put those random really dark lines? And it's usually when there's a directional change within the creature that you're making. So for example, if you come back up here and you look at the leg growing out and then you have the neck close to it, that's a directional change, so you can just make it dark. Because inside there, there wouldn't be light anyway because of the cast shadows. Over here, like in a place where there's not a shadow yet, if the really big toenail shape is coming off of the front, and then you have the torso coming off, you can start dark on the torso and then fade that off upwards. That's how you know when you get dark and light. And also, if there's going to be a place where there is a shadow anyway, then you can just get dark. Like this, under the tail, under the belly, under the foot, places like that. It's another reason why I love sketching with pens so much. You can just darken those off. And last but not least, we are going to put a ground plane in there. Like this, and then number 8. Okay, so we did 8 fun sketches today, and this was mainly an exercise to jump back into using grayscale. We sketch a basic silhouette of a creature that we are thinking of, and then we take a ballpoint pen, we jump back on top of the gray marks, and we start putting body features in there without thinking too hard about what those exact body features are. Okay, hopefully this exercise was a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a lot of this on the channel. And comment below if this is helping you. Let me know what projects you're working on, what's bugging you about art. If you're losing your passion, if you're finding your passion again, everything's welcome. All right. Thanks, peeps. See you later. Peace.